At 8:07 a.m., I received a text from Sylvia, sent without a greeting or any punctuation. You always do well in the kitchen, Natalie. Dinner for Greg and Jenna needs to be perfect. The checklist is in the app. Sylvia is my mother-in-law, and she's not the type to ask for help. She delegates tasks the way a corporate executive assigns blame. I read the message twice before sliding my phone across the table to Brendan, my husband. He read it, blinked like he was reading a weather report, and passed it back to me. She's just trying to make it special, he said. You know how she is, and you cook better than she does. The last line was meant to be comforting, but it didn't help. It felt rehearsed, like something Brendan had said 100 times. His default response, play nice with Mom. Greg, Brendan's older brother, and his wife Jenna had just returned after a year in Australia. Greg had worked on a high-level IT contract in Sydney, and Sylvia had talked about it nonstop, as if he'd discovered a new planet. Now, with them back in the States and Jenna 6 months pregnant, Sylvia had announced a family dinner in their honor. She didn't ask, she simply assigned it to me. I opened the app and there it was, Event Greg and Jenna. Welcome dinner host Natalie checklist. It included brine turkey, minimum 12 pounds, fresh herbs only, family recipe pumpkin pie, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes with no garlic, homemade rolls, and organic cider for Jenna. It even mentioned setting the table the night before, ensuring Greg had his food on gold-rimmed porcelain, and so much more. At 9:10 a.m., the doorbell rang. Sylvia was there, already without her coat, holding a binder. I thought I'd come by to help prep, she said, walking into my kitchen like it was hers. Big dinner ahead. By help, she meant auditing. She opened my pantry, sniffed my spices, picked up a bulb of garlic, and held it up like it was evidence. This isn't for the potatoes, is it? She asked. I usually add a pinch. No, Greg hates garlic in mashed potatoes. Always has, I replied. She didn't ask, she gave instructions. Then she picked up my pie recipe from the counter. Why are you using this version? She asked. I've made it before. Well, we don't want Jenna getting heartburn, do we? I bit my tongue so hard it hurt. Sylvia was on a mission. She sat at the island, flipping through her binder like preparing for a congressional hearing, rattling off notes on plate placement and serving temperatures. That afternoon, Jenna called. She told me not to lift a finger, she said in her soft, pleasant voice. Said I need to rest and preserve the glow. But Natalie, she's been intense. Jenna, Greg's wife, is quiet, graceful, and easy to like. Especially for Sylvia, who seemed to have decided that Jenna was the ideal standard of womanhood. She keeps staring at my belly, Jenna said, and asking weird questions, like if I plan to breastfeed on a schedule, or if I've read the same parenting books she used in the 80s. I wiped my hands on a dish towel and sighed. Yeah, that sounds about right, I said. Jenna hesitated, then added. She also said it's nice Greg married someone with classic femininity. I wasn't sure what that meant. But I knew. It meant not me. The next morning, Sylvia returned at 7:45 a.m., no sense wasting time. She chirped as she set her bag down. Let's go over everything again. She started rearranging my fridge before I had even put on a bra. Where's the cider? She asked. On the second shelf. You got the organic one, right? Jenna's sensitive to additives. I nodded. She moved on to the napkins. You didn't iron these. I was going to do it this afternoon, I said. She sighed. I'll show you how. It's all in the wrist. I stared at her. By noon, I was roasting vegetables and blanching green beans. Jenna sat curled up on the couch in a soft cream sweater, sipping cider with her hands resting gently on her belly. She looked serene, almost angelic. Greg showed up late, already talking about flight delays and how you can't get a decent burger south of the equator. He was tan, smug, and charming. Sylvia beamed at him like she'd just given birth to him again. My boy's home, she said. She smiled brightly. And there's a baby on the way. I'm the luckiest mom alive. Brendan stood beside her, offering a faint smile, more like a prop in the background. I brought out the appetizers. No one thanked me. Jenna was instantly handed a footstool and a blanket. Greg got the best seat at the table. Brendan meandered between the kitchen and the living room, looking like a misplaced groomsman. Walter, my father-in-law, sat in the corner, reading the newspaper, silent as ever. By 4 p.m., I had done it all. The turkey was basted and resting. The rolls had proofed, and the gravy was reducing. Sylvia popped into the kitchen once more. Remember, she said, Greg eats off the gold-trimmed china. It's tradition. You've mentioned that, I replied. Well, repetition helps, she said with a pointed smile. At 5:45, the table was set. I lit the candles. Jenna glowed on the couch, Greg laughing loudly about scuba diving. Brendan was glued to his phone. No one asked how I was. I plated the turkey golden brown and perfect, garnished with fresh herbs and cranberries. Sylvia appeared beside me like a stage manager. I'll walk with you, she said. This is the moment, the centerpiece. I've got it. Be careful, she added, smiling. Greg deserves some elegance. I lifted the heavy platter and carefully made my way toward the dining room. As I passed the fireplace, Sylvia suddenly appeared beside me. She took a step back, quick and calculated. Her heel caught mine. I stumbled. The platter tilted. The turkey fell to the floor. Porcelain shattered. Gravy splattered across the rug. The room went still. Someone gasped. Another stifled a laugh. Jenna's face turned pale. Sylvia looked down, then up at me and said loudly, I suppose not everyone is cut out for hosting. Brendan didn't move. Walter didn't even glance up. Jenna opened her mouth but said nothing. Greg laughed nervously. I stood there, heart racing, arms shaking, fingers burning from the hot platter. Then I untied my apron and let it drop. I'm not a servant, I said. And I'm not part of your show. Sylvia blinked. Brendan finally got up from his chair. Nat, don't make a scene. I laughed once flatly. The scene already happened. Ask your mother who choreographed it. And I walked out the front door. No coat, no apology, just fresh air and silence. I didn't cry that night. I thought I would. Instead, I took off the gravy-stained shirt, scrubbed my arms until the turkey smell was gone, and sat in silence on my parents' couch. I watched a muted late-night infomercial about pressure cookers. They didn't ask questions. My mom simply placed a folded blanket beside me and said, The guest room's ready. The bathroom's clean. Don't worry about anything tonight. I didn't. I couldn't. My mind kept replaying everything. The stumble, the crash, Sylvia's voice. I suppose not everyone is cut out for hosting. The way Brendan never even reached for me. The next morning, my phone was filled with unread messages, mostly from Brendan. Where are you? Can we talk? It wasn't her fault, Nat. It just happened. Call me, please. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't say sorry. He just wanted to talk. Smooth things over. Clean up the optics. By mid-afternoon, he left a voicemail. His voice was soft, trying to sound sad. Hey, I talked to Mom. She swears it wasn't intentional, just bad timing. She said she stepped back and didn't realize you were behind her. She feels awful. I do too. I should have done something. Please come home. We can work through this. It might have worked once. It didn't now. On the second day, silence. On the third, there was a knock at my parents' front door. I opened it. Sylvia was standing there, holding a bouquet of cheap pink roses, still wrapped in plastic. Behind her, Jenna looked sheepish in a coat 2 sizes too big. Natalie, Sylvia began. I wanted to apologize in person. I leaned against the door frame. That's new. She offered a thin smile. You're angry. I understand. I just want to make things right. By showing up uninvited to another house? I replied. You've got a real talent for that. She flinched slightly but kept going. That night it was a mistake. I lost track of where I was standing. You've never lost track of a single detail in your life, I said. You even know which fork Jenna uses for salad. I didn't mean to make you fall, she insisted. I just got caught up in the moment. Jenna cleared her throat. She's not telling the whole story. Sylvia turned sharply toward her. Jenna. But Jenna held up her hand and stepped forward. She tried to replace you after you left. She handed me your apron and said, It's time someone stepped up. Like I was supposed to inherit the kitchen. Like it was a crown. I blinked. She said that. She walked me through how to package leftovers, where the trivet goes, which pie knife to use. It was weird. Controlling. Greg found me crying in the hallway. Sylvia stiffened. I was overwhelmed, she explained. I was trying to hold things together. No, Jenna said quietly. You were trying to transfer control. She glanced at me again. Greg was furious. He told Walter. They both confronted her. Greg said if she didn't apologize, they wouldn't come for Christmas. Walter said if she ever pulled something like that again, he'd go live with his sister in Arizona. And Brendan? I asked. Jenna hesitated. He just stood there. He didn't say much. He looked uncomfortable. Classic. Sylvia looked smaller than usual. She gripped the flowers tightly. I didn't come here to fight, she said. I came because I know I've crossed a line. I've been trying to run this family like it's still 1998. And in doing so, I've broken something. No, I replied. You didn't break something. You revealed that you see me as disposable. All these years, I thought I was being paranoid. I wasn't. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to lose my family. I crossed my arms. You don't get to weaponize that after years of slowly poisoning me emotionally. She blinked. You humiliated me, I went on. In my own home, in front of your golden boy. And you expected me to come crawling back as if nothing had happened. But here's the truth, Sylvia. This was never about the turkey. I know, she said hoarsely. I know it was about more than that. No, I said, you don't. Because if you did, you'd stop talking and start listening. Jenna gently placed her hand on Sylvia's arm. Maybe we should go, she suggested. But Sylvia didn't move. I'm not the villain you think I am, she whispered. I gave a sad smile. Maybe not to everyone, but to me you were. She offered me flowers. I didn't take them. Tell Greg I appreciate him speaking up, I said to Jenna. And tell Walter I hope he books that trip to Arizona. Sylvia swallowed hard. Is there nothing I can do? Yes, I replied. You can leave me alone. She looked as though she wanted to say something else. But Jenna gently turned her away by the elbow. As they stepped off the porch, Sylvia turned back one last time. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. I just closed the door slowly, without slamming it. Inside, the air was filled with the smell of coffee and cinnamon. My mother was folding laundry at the kitchen table. She looked up and asked softly, Was that the apology you were waiting for? Something like that. I muttered. She paused, then asked, You hungry? We've got those apple muffins you like. I nodded. And for the first time in days, I sat down and ate something warm that someone else had made, without judgment, without performance, and without the reminder that I wasn't anyone's favorite. 2 days later, Brendan showed up. No warning, just the sound of tires crunching on my parents' driveway, and a knock that felt heavier than the wood it landed on. I opened the door. He looked like he hadn't slept, wearing the same hoodie from 3 days ago, with his hair slightly flattened on one side. He had nothing with him, no flowers, no bag, no gift. Just his phone in one hand, his face in the other. Can we talk? He asked, his voice low. I stepped aside. He sat down on the edge of the couch, like a guest in his own life. I didn't offer him coffee. I didn't sit down. I didn't know she was going to do that, he said. I swear to you. I crossed my arms. But when she did it, you watched. He looked up. I froze. I didn't know what to say. You didn't have to say anything, I continued. You could have stood up, moved, looked at me like a person instead of part of the decor. Brendan rubbed his jaw. You're right. I failed you. The words hung in the air between us. Too late to be helpful. Too honest to dismiss. I want you to come home, he said. Please. To what? I asked. He blinked. What do you mean? To a house where your mother feels free to belittle me in my own kitchen? To a man who allows it? To a family where apologies only show up when public opinion demands it? He opened his mouth, then closed it before saying, You're angry. I'm not just angry. I'm done. Done being the good sport, the bigger person, the peacemaker. I'm not anyone's martyr, Brendan. He nodded slowly. Okay, then what now? I don't know, I answered. But I know what not now looks like. He looked at the floor for a long time. You're not making this easy. No, because it was already hard. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. He left quietly this time. No scene. No lecture. Just the sound of his retreat. The following week passed in fragments. I returned to work, setting up in my parents' sunroom with a borrowed monitor and noise-canceling headphones. I allowed myself to exist quietly without scrutiny. Then one morning a letter arrived, handwritten, neatly folded. No return address. From Sylvia. Natalie. I've spent the past week in a house that feels empty. Jenna barely speaks to me. Greg is stiff. Walter is colder than I've ever seen him. Brendan drifts. No one trusts me anymore. You were the first to call me out, but you won't be the last. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I know I haven't earned it. I'm writing to say that I finally see it. How I chipped away at you over the years, and then blamed you for the cracks. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, but because I broke something that didn't belong to me. You. Whatever happens now, I hope you do what makes you feel whole again. Sylvia. I didn't cry, but I sat with that letter for a long time. She had finally dropped the act, and now I understood it had always been one. I stayed with my parents through Thanksgiving. They put no pressure on me, gave no timelines. Just space. One afternoon, my mother slid a folder across the kitchen table. Inside was a printed Zillow listing. A small craftsman bungalow, 2 bedrooms, sunlight spilling across hardwood floors. It's not much, she said. But it's yours if you want it. Your grandmother left a little something behind. We've been holding on to it. I blinked. Why didn't you tell me before? She smiled. Because you needed to choose freedom, not escape. The next day, I made an offer. That night, Greg emailed me. Thanks for standing up when the rest of us were too comfortable to see it. Jenna says she finally understands how much you were carrying. I do too. I hope your new place brings you peace. You deserve it. And from Jenna. If you ever want someone to bake with who won't judge your crust thickness, I'm your girl. No word from Brendan. Just silence, until one morning, a single message arrived. Are we really over? I didn't reply. Not because I was cruel, but because I had already answered. Every time I allowed myself to shrink for his family's comfort. Every time I swallowed a comment to keep the peace. Every time I let his silence speak louder than mine. The new house smelled like fresh paint and pine. I planted basil on the windowsill. I started humming again while I cooked. I made pie with garlic in the crust just because I liked it. I threw away Sylvia's checklist. I kept her letter, not as a keepsake, but as a warning. Because the next time someone calls me capable and hands me the weight of their world, I'll know the difference between flattery and setup. And I won't carry it.